Frank Gore Jr., obviously the son of Frank Gore Sr. And what I love is I was able to find this picture of him, with his dad when he was a little kid. And here he is with his little kid, and here he is years later now, coming back into, where he's going to be an NFL player now here soon. Frank Gore Jr.'s out of Southern Mississippi. Mississippi.
I mean, he almost looks like his own man.
He does. He does. I think a lot of teams are wishing that he plays like his old man. That's for damn sure. 5'8", 201 pounds, 22 years old. Last season played 12 games, 231 rushes for 1,131 yards. That's a 4.9 yards per carry average with 10 touchdowns. 27 receptions, 221 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an 88.0 PFF grade there. Prior year in 22, 13 games, 228 receptions for 1,382 yards. It's a 6.1 yards per carry average there. 9 touchdowns, 19 receptions for 219 yards. And yeah, I mean, listen, it's a good, healthy college career, especially anytime you can do back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving, 1,000-yard rushing seasons as a running back in this league where, listen, whether it's college or pros, let's be honest, teams don't run like they used to. The running back is not featured. So when you can do that, that tells people you probably are the best offensive player on your team.
Yeah, and if you look at it too, like you just broke down the stats, right? How great Frank Gore Jr. was. Pretty solid.
Yeah.
Kind of like his daddy's numbers. And he's also his daddy's size.
I would say nowhere near his dad's numbers.
Well, all right, come on. Let's go 30 years at NFL compared to a couple years in college.
I'm just saying, like,
when you talk about his average yards.
Well, average yards at Southern Mississippi versus the NFL. If you want to go that route, yeah, Southern Mississippi. Like, this is not a big school. This is not like he went to Alabama.
You're right. I was just saying the stats.
Pride of Hattiesburg. Just saying. That's, like I said, not exactly the biggest program in the world. I don't want to disrespect it. It's still a legit program. Yeah.
He's not going to be the wide one. He's not going to be a running back one for the next 10 years and be a good combination guy for the next 5 years and then solid, running back.
I mean,
2 for the next 5 years after that. But he has potential. He's going to have a career in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, players can come out of Southern Miss and be a good player. I mean, Brett Favre, classic example. He obviously came out of Mississippi and obviously had a hell of a career. So we'll never know, but he's not projected to go very high. A lot of project him like a 7th round pick. As far as his father, for those who aren't aware of how good his father was, who just retired a couple years ago, he was this close to being like LeBron and Bronny here, or Brony, whatever his name is, and being like on the same team as his son. You got 16-year career for Frank Gore, 16,000 career rushing yards. That's the third most
on the dot.
Yeah, third most. 19,992 all-purpose yards. That's the 5th most in NFL history. 5-time Pro Bowler and a Hall of Famer. That's some good genetics to get your hands on there for if your dream is to play in the NFL there. Frank Gore is one of those guys that he's kind of like, he was never like, okay, this is the best running back in football, but he had a long, solid career where he was consistently for a long time a top 10 running back in the league. And even later on when he was retiring, he still was 600 some odd yards with I believe the Jets his last season there back in 2000. He could have still probably played if someone gave him a call. So, yeah, Frank Gore Jr., like I said, we'll see if he can be half the player his dad was. But listen, if you're got like a 6th or 7th round pick and you want to take a shot on a running back, why not take the shot on somebody who comes from that kind of family and that kind of genes at that point? You can do a lot worse than that. I mean,
yeah, especially with that kind of like, I guess, how would you say it? Like, I call home on Sunday for Sunday dinner. My dad and I talk, and maybe Frank Gore Jr. do the same thing, and they go, "Hey, son, how'd you run today?" I went to the left, I lateral here, and Frank.
Oh, I'm sure
Senior
Frank
goes, "Hey, you should have went to the right, to the left. You juked when you should have jumped, or whatever."
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that Frank is watching his son's games religiously, because keep in mind, one of the things too with this is that when he was in high school and all, Senior was still playing. He missed a lot of the Pop Warner games, the youth league games, the high school games, and I'm sure now that he's out of football the last 4 years, he's probably been watching religiously and probably watched the last year or two of high school and now the college.
Well, I'm sure that Frank also went to Frank Jr.'s games as well, because granted, he did
I'm saying
travel.
he couldn't. He was playing football. He was playing.
He was playing.
He had
football,
to be in New York.
Had to be in New York, but he could.
He had to be in New York. He had to be in Miami. He had to be the places he played. You can't just go, "Hey, my son's got a game. I'll see you guys tomorrow." Unless you got that agreement, who knows? But it's not typical. It's not typical.
Pop Warner, normally plays on a Saturday compared to a Sunday.
Saturday's a travel day, depending where you're going.
Travel after your son's game.
I'm just saying. I just don't.
I hear what you're saying.
I don't see it happening. I don't think it would work out that way. All right.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.